Okay, I'm gonna try and get into the story of the truck. In 1992, I believe, my grandpa bought this truck for my dad. We were just moving in, just bought a property, and we were needing something dependable around the house to drive. So my grandpa took my dad to a used car lot, and they ended up finding this 1987 Chevy that was in great condition. Nothing wrong with it. So my grandpa bought it for my dad, and it was in the family from 92 until 98 or 99. I got my driver's license in 96, and my dad was an over-the-road truck driver and was never home. So basically, instead of buying me a car, I was driving this around. And I put a lot of miles on it. And had a lot of good times in this truck. Some near death occasions. As you know, we all do dumb shit, and it was pretty fast. But so I started driving it in 96, somewhere around 97, early, maybe mid late 98, maybe mid to late 98. The gas tanks had started to leak because of all the country roads that I was driving. So we parked it because we didn't have the money to get the gas tanks fixed, and I ended up getting a different car. Well, while it was parked, my mom decided that she was going to sell it. So I think my mom sold it in 98, 99 for $700. Granted, there was nothing wrong with it. It had a few little dents here and there, and the gas tanks were bad. That was it. That was the only thing wrong with this truck. Well, my mom passed away in 2011, and I was cleaning up her property, and I was taking loads of junk to the junkyard in my then 86 Chevy Silverado that I bought because I liked this truck. Well, in doing that, I took a back road through the country and came up a different route. And I seen a red Chevy Silverado sitting in this guy's front yard. I'm like, man, that looks a lot like mine. So I stopped my truck dead in the middle of the road. I got out and I walked over to the truck and I looked, and the first thing I noticed was the bed, because it was painted black, like I had done in 96, 97, somewhere around there. I thought it would make it look better, but that's the first thing I noticed. I was like, there is no way that this is my old truck. So I looked around a little bit more, and my dad had put coat hangers in the headliner to keep the headliner from hitting the top of his head, and those were still in there. I was like, wow, there's no way this is my old truck. So I went up and I knocked on the guy's door, and I kind of told him the story of the truck, and he had originally bought it from my mom 12, 13 years earlier. And I told him that I would like to buy it, but this was a Saturday. I couldn't get to the bank. The bank was already closed. I told him I'd like to buy it. He told me he would sell it to me for $1,500. And this was in 2011. So Monday morning came around. I went straight to the bank as soon as they opened. I got $1,500 out, and I went and bought the truck back. And it ran great. While this is all going on, my dad had been put in the St. Cloud VA hospital. He was in Danville, and he got really sick, and they put him on a ventilator in St. Cloud, Minnesota. And he was on this ventilator for roughly a year. And during that time, my mom passed away. So I had to go up and tell my dad that my mom passed away. couple months later, I went back and I made another trip up to the VA. And this is an 11, 12-hour trip for me. We're in Midwest Illinois. So I go back 2 months later after telling my dad that my mom had passed away, and somehow he had gotten stronger. Now, I was there 3 or 4 days, and I believe on the third day I went to visit him. And when I went up to his room, he was sitting up in the bed and he was able to talk. Now, if you know anything about people on ventilators, you can't talk because you've got tubes in your throat. Well, when he talked to me, it caught me off guard. Well, come to find out that he had been getting stronger since I told him my mom passed away. And the doctors were able to put a speaking valve in for him. And he seemed like he was getting better. And this is odd because he laid in this hospital for at least a year. Well, during that time in between that trip, I had found this truck and I had told him about it. And that I bought it back. So another couple months go by, I make another trip up there. And this time he's just has the speaking valve in and they're keep putting him on the ventilator at night. And the doctors couldn't believe it. They could not believe that this man that had been on the ventilator for roughly a year, laying in bed, muscle atrophy and everything, was up moving around, breathing on his own, and didn't need the ventilator anymore. So I worked it out with the St. Cloud VA Hospital and the Danville, Illinois VA Hospital, which is closer to my home, to be able to get my dad transferred back closer to home, which no one ever thought that was going to happen. It was basically a keep him comfortable situation in the VA in St. Cloud. So he just kept getting stronger and stronger and stronger, and I'll put a picture up of my dad. He's a huge guy. He's huge. Did 2 tours of Vietnam voluntarily. Got Agent Orange. Had all kinds of health-related issues due to that. So anyway, I get him back to the Danville VA. And he's doing so good that I was able to go and get him and transport him to the VA hospital in Danville myself, which was an awesome trip. It was great to be able to be back with my dad after a year and a half of him being in the hospital, because he was in the hospital for probably 6 months before he went to the VA. So I get him back to the Danville VA, and I'm allowed to come and get him and take him out, like during the day for dinner, lunch. We actually went to the bar one time, played the pool, had a beer or two. But anyway, so I picked him up one day in this truck, and it blew his mind that I was able to find the truck. It ran as good as it did, and that I was able to pick him back up in it. So that was kind of a special thing between me and my dad. So that's one of the reasons I'm trying to get this thing tore down now. He's been gone for, say it was 2014, my dad passed away. So 7 years now, and I've been meaning to redo this thing ever since. So it's a lot of sentimental value in the truck itself for my family. And I have a son. And I would love for my son to be able to have this truck one day and to not have to worry about it having anything wrong with it and it being a good, solid vehicle if, they don't outlaw gas by then. So, I would like my son to get it, which would make it a 4th generation truck in my family after being sold before. It's weird that it was sold and came back to my family, and it was my first vehicle, and I got to get it back. You hear stories all the time of people that wish they had their first vehicle back, and I was able to do it. So that's why I'm going so hard on this truck. I want this truck to be back to what it was. I don't want to. I don't want to hop it up. I just want it original, maybe a little bit bigger cam, um, lowered. I want to change a few things on it, but I want to keep it as much to original as I can. So that's where we're at, and I've got a lot of work ahead of me. I don't have a whole lot of money, so I'm doing what I can when I can. I actually had a job for 23 years in a place, and they recently decided that they were going to close. So before they decided they were going to close, I had stuck my neck out, so to speak, for a few of the guys that worked for me, and they weren't too keen on that. So they ended up letting me go. So now I'm doing all this in the process of trying to find another job. Thanks to COVID. I just can't say that, whatever. So I just wanted to give you the story. Let it be out there that that's why I'm doing this truck. I know it's a long video, it's a long story, but to me and my family, it's pretty cool how everything worked out. So take it for what you will, but hope you enjoy it. Thanks.